honeyed return. I remember the day they laughed at me like it was yesterday. Their voices echoed in the sterile walls of the family home, a cacophony of disbelief and disdain that clung to the air like a thick fog. "You want to be a beekeeper?" My father's laughter was a heavy blow, one that made my heart sink. "What kind of future is that? You're wasting your education on this ridiculous hobby." I stood there, a climate scientist whose thesis had just been discredited by a jealous colleague. I felt the sting of betrayal, sharper than the humiliation of my family's scorn. I had poured my heart and soul into studying climate change, hoping to make a difference, only to be met with ridicule. But that day, as I faced my family's mocking gaze, something shifted. I vowed to prove them wrong, to show them that even the smallest colonies could inspire monumental change. I leant home, heart heavy but resolve steely. I buried myself in beekeeping, an endeavor dismissed as trivial by the very academics I once admired. I crafted innovative hive designs, each more elaborate than the last, pushing the boundaries of what urban beekeeping could achieve. I learned how to turn neglected patches of concrete into vibrant ecosystems, how to coax life from the unlikeliest of places. Those bees, small and unassuming, became my allies in a battle against urban desolation. But the journey was far from easy. I faced setbacks that felt insurmountable. There were nights I spent sleepless, the weight of doubt pressing down on me like a suffocating blanket. I struggled to convince city officials of the importance of my work. Their eyes glazed over with skepticism. "Urban beekeeping, really?" I could hear the echoes of my family's laughter in their words. But I pushed on, fueled by a relentless desire to redefine what success could look like. Years passed, and slowly but surely my efforts bore fruit. Sweet, golden fruit. I transformed barren lots into flourishing gardens, where bees buzzed happily from flower to flower, pollinating life back into existence. My work caught the attention of environmentalists and city planners alike. I began to speak at conferences, my voice steady and confident, advocating for urban ecological restoration. I became a beacon of hope for those who believed that even the smallest actions could lead to monumental change. And then came a day I received an invitation to showcase my work at a prestigious environmental summit. The venue was grand, filled with influential figures from around the globe. As I stood there, the accolades rolling in, I felt a surge of pride. I had done it. I had proven that urban beekeeping was more than just a hobby. It was a vital part of our fight against climate change. But in the back of my mind, there lingered a desire for something more, a chance to confront those who had once mocked me. So I made the decision to return home, not as the embarrassed child they had scorned, but as a successful advocate for the environment. The drive back was surreal. I could hardly believe how far I had come. As I pulled into the familiar driveway, my heart raced. My family was gathered on the porch, their expressions a mix of curiosity and disbelief. I stepped out of my car, the sunlight glinting off my award-laden badge, and walked toward them. "Hey, everyone," I said, my voice steady. They stared at me as if I were a ghost. My mother's eyes widened, and my father's mouth hung open. I wanted to share what I'd been working on. I opened my bag and pulled out a beautifully crafted jar of honey, golden and glistening. "This is from the hives I've been managing in the city. I've turned neglected spaces into thriving ecosystems, and I'm here to show you that urban beekeeping can change lives." They exchanged glances, the laughter of the past hanging heavily between us. I poured the honey into small cups and handed them out. "Try it," I urged, my heart pounding in my chest. As they tasted the honey, a silence enveloped us. I watched their faces transform, the sweetness of the honey mingling with the bitterness of their past derision. My father, who once laughed at my dreams, looked at me with newfound respect. "This is incredible," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. I had no idea. "None of us did," my mother added, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "We thought you were making a mistake. We were wrong." It was a powerful moment, the weight of their past mockery crashing down like a wave, leaving behind the residue of regret. I could see it in their eyes, the realization that they had underestimated not just my dreams, but the potential of the world around us. I've learned that even the smallest actions can lead to monumental change, I said, my voice steady. And that includes believing in each other. As we stood there, the sun setting behind us, I felt a sense of catharsis wash over me. The laughter that once stung like a bee's sting had transformed into something sweet, something that bonded us anew. In that moment, I understood that the journey had not just been about proving my worth to them, but also about forgiving them for their past ridicule. We were all growing, evolving together, and it was never too late to change. As I left their home that evening, I took with me not just the knowledge of my success, but a newfound sense of belonging. I had turned the ridicule of my past into a future filled with promise, and I knew that the sweetest victories were often born from the harshest lessons.